Hello, and welcome to Sim Strategy Gaming. I'm Sim. This episode will be about the sixth scenario of Empire Railway 2, Gold Rush. Now things are starting to become a bit challenging, and we will have to combine everything we have learned so far to overcome the difficulties presented to us on this hard map with a lot of mountains, desolate areas, and small cities here at the west coast of America. Looking at tech, we find ourselves early in the game, before the 50s, way back here in the 40s. We then it's more challenging, and we don't have access to all these nice bonuses that will come on much later. And the locomotives, well, they're not bad, but they're not super fantastic either. This freight train, it's the best that we have so far, better than the Limater. The attractive power would be the most important thing, more important than the speed. The speed is only the max speed, and it's not so often that they're actually able to achieve max speed. So going for attractive power. Later on, we will aim for this Tyson 10-wheeler, the mixed train. And then the Dragon. The Dragon is really nice. Finally one with proper attractive power that can overcome the inclines. And then one can use the Dragon for mixed lines, and one can use the Tyson 10-wheeler for express lines. And looking at our mission objectives, we'll have to grow Gold Beach into becoming a bigger city, and then buy up a clothing factory, and then grow the rest of the region. So there's no demand here yet, but demand will pop up as soon as they reach 50,000, so that's some time to come. We will start out as usual. The one advantage on this map is that there are absolutely huge connection bonuses, but they're a bit far away and a bit difficult. But still, we should really get this going. 750,000 here, 500,000 up here in Baker City. This is too good to be left out. So what one can do then is to build this awkward big circle going around here. It might seem a little bit implausible to have this, but this circle is actually very nice. It now connects Baker to Reading, going on this long, sort of desolate line here, connected to a hotel here at the Cole, which will be receiving passengers very short, and then going around and around like this. It might seem a bit awkward to have this long line going here, but it connects Baker to Reading, and it also, this circle, I managed to have express bonus on this using freight trains, because it is so straight, and then going through the mountains here and such, managing lay it outside the rugged areas, and make sure that it's really flat, so that the locomotives can achieve their highest speed. And then 2 years later, we have reached the 50s, and our tech has advanced a bit. I did save a bit of invention points before here. These techs here in the 50s are not accessible to us early in the game. But if you save a bit, then you can immediately buy this super fantastically nice Tyson 10-wheeler immediately, and also be ready. Perhaps we should have saved even more and could have reached the Dragon even earlier. It would be nice. One also thing to point out, that here is the immigration office. One cannot build immigration offices early in the game, only the libraries. And the immigration offices are very nice. You can build them in small cities, and as long as the cities are growing, they are growing even faster, which is an absolutely fantastic thing. I'm pointing that out. But also that one cannot build anyhow. One cannot build anything in Gold Beach, and neither in San Francisco, because these cities already have something. They have the gold shipping. So then one cannot build anything else around there. And looking at our mission objectives, we can see that we now have been able to grow a little bit. With this circle approach and such, growing becomes sort of easy. So then delivering the clothing wasn't so much of a problem. Gonna deliver a lot more clothing in our optional task, but this also comes along very nicely. Balance is good, and we will focus on growing Bodhi, but that will also come on a little bit later. First of all, we have to concentrate on this. We had the express lane between Gold Beach and Reading, and also continue that further on to Sacramento and transport 500 passengers from there to Gold Beach. Looking at how we did that, first of all, we would expand on this main circle that we have up here north between Reading and Portland, and also include Baker in its own little circle, but then with 2 hotels here connecting it nicely to the other circles, so that Baker is now part here as well. Can see that it's transporting its goods now through the warehouse system, and also the passengers through a hotel. And then to build further on, there wasn't possible to build a new circle down here. This is a typical liner place. So then just to add upon an extra station here at Gold Beach being our main city, this serves at least 2 stations. And then to have an extra one going outside here down to Reading, or express-like, and then further on down to Sacramento, and the resources down here south, and also to San Francisco, like this. And we will be able to both transport passengers and achieve express bonuses in this manner. But then when one needs to connect to these mountainous regions away from the Californian coast, then how to do this? It would be tempting to connect San Francisco to Bodie, but then the terrain here is not really on our side, and build all these absolutely crazy tunnels and such, it wouldn't do much. So then, at least not early in the game, need to watch out for the money. So then to build this sort of cross, we will continue this, of course, from Hobbs here to Jones and over to Winnemucca. But to then have a line coming here, San Francisco, Sacramento, and to Carson through Hobbs. And then, of course, Hobbs being a Hobbs hotel, and down to Bodie. Have this sort of half moon here, and then another half moon coming down from Gold Beach, Reading, and then Hobbs. And then I'm going to build that further on to Jones and Winnemucca, perhaps in Elko down here. So and then have this sort of techniques in our arsenal to both have circles, which might be the most profitable, most important structure, and then of course to add on lines where circles are to support the circles. Remember, circles are not really feasible, but also to sometimes combine these lines into crosses, and to have that as well. And with all these things known to us, we will be able to overcome these challenges of this map. And one can see now that it sort of falls into place, and there aren't that many insane bridges and tunnels and such. It comes on quite nicely like this.
Very good. That's one way to satisfy the citizens of Sacramento. Look at all this gold. We should take it towards the coast. I know some merchants there. They will take care of further transport. The gold rush is drawing more and more people to the rich cities of the West Coast. It is only thanks to your steady supply that the demands of the citizens can be satisfied. You exhibit true entrepreneurial spirit. To profit from the situation to this degree is really something. I see many people trying and failing to recreate your proficiency. Expensive work clothes are a great way to siphon off a big chunk of the gold miners' earnings. And that's even before they can get to work. You're a genius.
So then we made the liquor delivery then, obviously. Looking at the mission objectives now in October, 9 months later, we bought up this Marshall mine in advance. that came on immediately. And further on, growing Bodhi, have a real focus on Bodhi in this game. Two objectives, main objectives here, both in the gold rush and the boost rush, and then also in the optional tasks to reach 120,000 citizens in this remote city into the mountains. It's a little bit challenging, but one will focus on it and make it. Now we're going to deliver all this gold to San Francisco and Gold Beach. But first of all, the liquor, have a look at that. And see now that we were sort of lucky enough that liquor just kind of popped up in Carson by itself. But then there are really small discs, so then obviously it couldn't satisfy demand. But still, the smartest way would perhaps be to go in here and make for a specially dedicated line like this. And then one that just goes from Carson to Sacramento, and then one can put this on maximum amount of trains, perhaps 5, and then 4 loads back and forth will sort of do the trick. I turned it off because it was just one left. There was some liquor coming from Elko, where I bought the liquor factory because it was so perfectly suited here with immediate access to both sugar and fruit. Too little sugar on this map, so I sort of had to buy up this and bump it up a bit. That's really expensive, and also with the Marshall mine and such, you can see, wow, this is a gold mine, and I bought it and I bumped it up, but still 8,000 profit per week. That is not really a lot, and I spent 2 million, so that will take quite a bit of time for me to get that money back. But then luckily the main money is not being made on producing the gold or the sugar or fruit, or what is coal and clay industry up here, because I have a ceramics factory and I want to be in control. But still, transporting the goods are much more profitable than producing them, and then even more profitable than transporting goods would be to be transporting passengers, which will come from the growth of the cities that are a result of this production. But whether or not this gold adventure is really lucrative compared to connecting new cities, I will still say that connecting new cities are the most profitable. Point here, now I bought all these concessions for this new area and sort of prepared, and you can see that I have some money and I have this plan for how to conquer the eastern portions of the map, the mountainous regions and such. But and now I did buy the concessions in advance, but usually never do this. It might seem, if one just thinks about it very easily, that concessions are becoming more and more expensive as time goes by, and you build more stations that cause inflation, that cause things to become more expensive. But if you think about it thoroughly, the concessions might be 2, 3, 4 times even as expensive as time goes by, but my money is being much more. I have only played for less than 3 years on this particularly hard map, and already I have grown my company into becoming almost 100 times greater. So then if I have 100 times more money now and something costs 5 times the amount, I still have a lot more money to buy it at a later time than in the beginning. And the beginning money is sort of the seed money, and you need the seed to make things grow. If you spend the seed on things that doesn't really grow but just becomes a little bit more expensive, you're not really making a good deal. And then if we have a look now at the train usage, I wish this would just remain in this state. To always look at this, see here, trains are going red immediately. And I just built this, expanded this super fantastic, look at all these, I wonder how many are there? 6 here, 8 there, 14 lanes. And still they are chock full, pretty much all of them. I cannot take all this traffic anymore, and I have to do something else, crisscross, whatever. But still, my main focus would be on taking on these regions. But then, even though we have flow now for all this sort of goods and sugar, for example, coming from all the way over here in the east, but being redistributed to the warehouses Reading here, and all the way even up to, no, not to Baker, but Baker will connect differently. Things might not really come along, even though we have connection. See here with the gold, for example, a little bit funny route there, but going straight to Gold Beach like this. But the thing is that, do we have enough transport capacity now as we're going to reach this? That the goal will be coming nicely in through this super single dedicated line down here. Only need one track actually for a long time until this bumps up. I can see that how long does this track take, this ride? It takes, okay, say 9 days. Always rounding up to be that will make it certain. And then these are 3, and 3 times 9, say 3 times 10, that's 30. 30 is less than 56, so one train will do fine. So only one train for this super important resource, and then going into Carson here and being reloaded into a new warehouse. And then there are 18 already here waiting to be picked up. And then hopefully somebody will pick it up, bring it over to hubs, put it into this warehouse where there are, there's the warning triangle. I'm not going to do anything about it. Or what I'm going to do, I could delete it here now and then, but all would disappear. Now I have to bring it back. So rather just try to make more capacity. And what can we do then? One can turn one of these lines here, say, these are express lines actually. Very neat. Say with this Tyson 10-wheeler here, we can put it, as soon as we have access to the Dragon, I will use the Dragon, but I can still just flip this onto freight. And now I exclude the passengers and make sure that it's only using freight, and then it will have a much greater capacity, never be filled with any passengers, and have a much greater capacity for delivering freight. And then we can sort of be sure that these lines are actually working and not being hung up at some point. Here I doubled, sort of, you can see in Carson both produces and also has a warehouse to bring it further on. No problem as long as there aren't any demand for liquor down here and such, but as soon as this demand becomes greater, one can have this flip-flopping back and forth effect. Should be avoided. And so then we made it. What an absolute fantastic score this time. I'm really proud of myself. Almost made 800,000, which would be absolutely super. Did a little bit of a thing that cost us to lose those last 2,500 points. But let's have a look at this. One I did, but wasn't so very clever. It seemed clever, but it's not. I'm going to deliver this gold to San Francisco and to Gold Beach, and I put up this warehouse system here, bringing it in. Haven't changed that much, put it on freight trains and such, but then I thought, and the things are going quite well here, no particular delays or anything seemed. But then I took this line going here from San Francisco to Carson Bodie, which are the one that also transports the gold, but I wanted it to have a little bit more to do. And I took it down to Pastor, and then I built for this extra line going through Milford up to Salt Lake. But then doing that, I had to update this route. I build the tracks, and then I go in here, and then I say I want another extra stop, or remove a stop. Go down here and then we can remove Salt Lake. Removal isn't so bad. Usually the trains will get back on track pretty soon if I just do a little bit like this. But adding extra stops, then the trains sort of, they go around in a circle, and sometimes there be breakdowns and bad stuff. But at least it took for some time then to deliver the goal to San Francisco because of this update sort of delay. And Bodie came along nicely, but it was a very small city, and I sort of, got to it a little bit late. So then it took some time for it to reach 120,000, even more than to bring the gold over. But then I changed it into freight lines and made sure that these goods were coming in nicely. You can see look at the solution now that we have built here, that make for some kind of little bit weird circles. Perhaps most weird would be this Milford circle only coming up here and not going to Salt Lake. There is another line from Salt Lake to San Francisco going to Milford here on the outside. So then just to have this circle going through this Collins Hotel, which isn't really in a resource, but to build these extra little depot hotel things, hotel and then maintenance depot, could exchange the maintenance depot for a warehouse if I needed it. But just to build these little extra places here in Collins, and then connect it to this resource up in Johnson, which are also a hotel. And then it can be now Milford is connected to Salt Lake and is connected to Elko and is connected to all the other circles through this. It's one way to use a station. It doesn't necessarily require it to pick up something there. It can be used for other stuff as well. And then in Elliott here, this line was very long, so then I made for an extra little stop here. Also, in many ways, make it easier to lay the tracks if there are not too long, and update the tracks if there are not too long lines and there are more stations in between. Added upon this little extra going here, just to make sure that some passengers here, yes, to make sure that the distance here from Reading and all down south here is not too long, coming up to Baker and further on into here. You can keep on adding these extra lines and just connecting these circles more and more and put up little hotels. It doesn't need to go city to city. To go through a hotel might in many ways be a better solution, more profitable. Another way to use hotels, which are very, very, very neat. See, with this now new sort of main circle, this Nampa, Idaho Falls, Elko, Salt Lake, how this is moving now with Elko and Salt Lake, it's more or less regular placement of the stations. But then in Idaho Falls is really situated in a very special place in this cauldron with only a single line coming out. So then no point here in trying to put the station up like this. That would be really into the mountains, weird and expensive. So just back and forth, up and down. Make for this enormously long gridiron, but it's okay as long as it's at the end station. But then, if passengers now are coming from Salt Lake and to Nampa, it would be a long distance for them to go up to Idaho and then down, and they will pay less, and then we will spend more money on transporting them. So then to have an hotel here at Perry, so that passengers go to Salt Lake, Perry, and then Nampa, and then back again. Nampa has the same solution, up and down, but it has one set of up and down solution, and also a hotel here in King East, but also going from Baker and Winnemucca, and being part of a more sort of a regular circle, sideways, horizontally placed stations, and then you can have them vertically placed like this. Looking at some of the tracks now, one can see that it is absolutely feasible. Even on the Xbox is a bit harder to be laying the tracks and such. It's not so easy always to put up these waypoints around if one is going to build something peculiar here. But still, it's not particularly hard. One just have to really, really look at the contour lines and see where I go, and sort of trying to make for some path. Do not worry too much about a little bit of tunnels here and there. They're not that super expensive late in the game, but trying perhaps to build more bridges. And always remember that even though a track might be expensive, your expenses will go down. You don't pay maintenance for tracks. You only pay maintenance for train and upkeep for personnel. But if the tracks are really good, then passengers will pay more, quicker delivered. Freight will be the same, but you will have a shorter delivery time and then a shorter train, and then it would make for more revenue. So one shouldn't be too worried, even though there are kind of a lot. It takes some time then to build this. Then sometimes I will start out here in the clear and then sort of dig my way into the mountains, which is also okay. But if there are mountainous regions, to save in advance before one starts to build too complex tunnels would be perhaps a good advice, because one doesn't be refunded the tunnels. But anyways, there will be one circle here with Carson Elko, and one little Milford circle, and then there is Salt Lake, Idaho Falls, a line going from Salt Lake all the way in this cross, Hobbs Hotel, to San Francisco. One line from San Francisco up to Gold Beach. I didn't continue that to Portland and such, but from Eugene, Portland, there's a little extra auxiliary line here going through the cow resource, the livestock. A circle here only with Baker, and then a new circle, Baker, Winnemucca, Nampa. A little bit extra line here from Elliott Young just to take off some passengers, and then I guess that is pretty much it. One can feel free to like and subscribe and leave some comments, and then I hope to see you next time, and goodbye.